This is the Nightwolf howling at you, and today we're going to jump back about a year or so to look at the Masterverse, Masters of the Universe, Revolution Skeletor figure. And this one has been out for a while. It's just been sitting there, and I want to get them reviewed so I can stick them up in my display. So if we turn the box kitty corner here, we can see like the whole figure or the whole bit of artwork with his weird ass Havoc staff arm and Triclops in the back doing his worship of the Motherboard Screech statue thing. Of course, on the front we also get to see some of the Horde Wraiths, I would say. And on the side of the box, we see Skeletor and Skeletor's close-up of his head, which is very mechanical looking. And finally, when we turn it around, we see the product shot. We see that he's designed to wear a crown on his head, and that he has the goat-headed Havoc staff as an arm. And, well, to be perfectly honest, I probably wouldn't have bought this figure if I hadn't bought the case. So, you know, pre-order thingy. Skeletor, the evil lord of destruction. After shockingly teaming up with He-Man to save Eternia, Skeletor returns to Snake Mountain to reclaim his throne. However, the cult of Motherboard have transformed him into a cybernetic slave. So let's go ahead and open this sucker up, shall we? Okay, so apparently we get one extra hand. We have the crown, which if you have a daughter, you could probably give this to her to use as a ring. The side of the box and the inside shows what's in here, which is not a whole hell of a lot. Quite possibly the figure with the least amount of accessories. Here we have our cybernetic Skeletor. Oh, I already don't like the way this thing moves. Oh, this is funky feeling. Okay. So let's unpack this one, shall we? First of all, the fist I don't care about. This head sculpt. Honestly, the head sculpt's kind of disappointing. It is a single piece instead of the usual Skeletor head separated, kind of separate from the hood. Yeah, the skull head is usually like a separate piece and glued to the rest of the head or whatever, but this one is definitely all one piece, and I honestly would rather have been able to see Skeletor's full head under here. I just find this to be very boring, and I think the cybernetic side would have been looked more interesting to me. Now, let's just take care of the crown thing first. Apparently, you can just slide this on him like so. And he's wearing Rander's crown. We got that done. We can get that, toss that to the side. So we got a new... This guy actually has a whole ton of new parts, let's be honest here. Yeah, I mean, well, he's like 100% new sculpt. I don't think there's anything here that's reused. I mean, I suppose maybe this part could be, but his torso obviously has the sculpting for the electronic circuits there. His nipples stand out pretty nicely. He's got a little LED lighting thing there. The arm is a bit different. It feels like there's like some wire in there. Let's see. Yeah, so this arm is apparently one of those like rubber-coated wires for articulation. So you can kind of move it, kind of can't. The jaw on the ram staff does open up. God, this figure is so... Ugh. I feel like this is going to be one of those reviews where I'm complaining most of the time. Okay, so now we got that far. He does stand up pretty well on his own, though. I'll give him that. Let's lower this a little bit more. To be fair, I thought that this design was kind of goofy in the cartoon itself. The figure does not really make it any less goofy looking to me. In fact, I think it looks even goofier. I think the head sculpt should have been done better. But let's check out the head here. It spins around. We can move it forward and back, up and down. You see it's got that combination hinge and ball joint there. If G.I. Joe wants to get rid of that hinge, they should probably do something more like this with their heads. The shoulder does spin around. That one sort of moves out. Not a whole lot, but it does a little bit. Slight hinge, so we can spin it and hinge a little bit. As mentioned before, there's like a wire inside of here, so you can move this around. The actual ram head thing does spin on its own, and again, as mentioned before, we can open its mouth. Feed me, Seymour, feed me. Although, to be perfectly honest, this doesn't line up very well, does it? That's one of those things when it's like something like that. You don't know if that's like the design itself or if that's a problem with your actual figure. But yeah, the jaw just does not seem to be closing properly or opening properly. It looks like it should be a little bit over to the side. The other arm, however, is pretty standard, so we can hinge it out easily enough and spin it all around. And we do have a bicep cut, so we can spin it 360. Double jointed elbow, though with the design of the arm, it doesn't really joint very well. You can see some here on the back where you've got like the spinal look to it. We have a boob cut, and we can wiggle it around there and move it front and back and exposing that part. I don't know how the skirt piece here is attached, but it does not appear as if you can take it off very easily. It's probably glued onto the waist, and it's glued here. We do have drop-down hips, although the skirt is going to really, really sour the articulation. We can do a spin 360 at the thigh. He only has a single joint at the knee, however, but it does move in both directions fully, which is kind of creepy. He can kick that leg up that far and go back about that far. And he can only kick out about this far. That one a little bit more because of the less skirt. This leg piece, you can kick up about that far with a skirt and about that far and back without the skirt piece. The feet are on a hinge here and a spin, so we got that normal thing. And it looks like he's got chicken feet. This is our chicken-footed Skeletor. Gosh. Well, I do think the crown itself looks kind of dumb, but at least it fits on his head pretty well. So if you want to display it that way, you can. I see no reason to ever use that fist, but then I rarely ever see any reason to use the fists with these toys at all. While I am impressed that this is a brand new sculpt, and apparently I forgot about the boot cut that's on his legs, which also spins. Sorry about that. I'm just so very confused by this figure. But I gotta say, at this point with Masterverse, I don't imagine that we're going to get too many, if any, more Revelation or Revolution figures. It looks like they're concentrating on the New Eternia, New Etheria, and the vintage-inspired ones. So I don't think we're going to get any more Revelation or Revolution figures in it, which is fine by me. The only other one I kind of would have been interested to see would have been the Tri-Sorceress and the Havoc Sorceress versions of Teela. And frankly, most of the rest of the Revolution and Revelation regular figures can easily be used as just standard figures in any of the lines because they're not that much different. That being said, the only reason why I really got this figure again was because I ordered the full case from Entertainment Earth like I tend to do with the new releases for Masters of the Universe. And I don't know, the concept that they have going on with this figure is not bad. It's just not particularly good either, at least not the follow through. Making him part of the Havoc staff is kind of weird, but okay, fine, whatever. But I don't really recall any other person who was cyberized by the Motherboard statue actually being this different. You know what I mean? I mean, sure, they had some different parts here and there, but it wasn't like a total rebuild almost. But I guess they wanted to do something new and unique with Skeletor, and this is what they did. If I could go back in time and not buy him, I think I would probably have gone back in time and not bought him. Still, he is going to go up in my display, at least until I get to the point where I have too many figures where I start taking down the Revolution ones. But he'll go up there with Motherboard and Triclops and Hordak because it's a fitting spot for him. But why don't you guys let me know what you think of this figure, and oh hell, just let me know what you thought of the Revolution cartoon in the first place. I did do a brief review of the entire series a few years ago when it first came out. But anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this look at this Skeletor. I know I'm a bit down on this one because it's not the greatest. Even the head sculpt's not that interesting. Although I do think if they designed this one so that the hood was a separate piece and we could have seen the whole naked skeleton head, I think that would have looked pretty badass because of the cybernetic skeleton parts. But because they've got the hood covering pretty much everything that's really interesting, it sucks. But again, I hope you enjoyed this review. Please feel free to like the smash button, and if you want to hear more of my nonsense, you can subscribe. I'm not usually this down on the stuff I review, but this is an exception, I guess. Thank you for watching. Peace and love.